All right, everyone, it was hilarious. The other day, Ilhan Omar basically flipped her lid completely, along with AOC and a bunch of others, trying to claim that Trump had made a tweet that was basically inciting violence towards Ilhan Omar. Now, what he was mocking her statement on 9/11, and this is like pure campaign ad style stuff, and they took the bait. I mean, he had to have known it was going to provoke this kind of response. Essentially, it was like, she's like, oh, some people blew up a building or something, and she just sounded, out of context, admittedly, slightly. Although not as out of context as a lot of political quotes. Ilhan Omar does have certain beliefs religiously that lend themselves to this sort of this particular sort of admitted propaganda. He took that little quote from her and then sort of spliced it over 9/11 footage. Was like we will not forget and explosions and stuff. And very tragic. Now, using 9/11 as a political tool is something I've never particularly been fond of, but I can't think of a scenario in which it's a little bit funnier, because Ilhan Omar has, certain beliefs and certain associations with people with certain other beliefs that are a little bit questionable, number one. She said things, number two, that make this particular sort of attack extremely easy, and it'll stick too. Number three, watching the PC response, watching the massive piles of salt thereafter when these people get absolutely irate. Oh my God, how dare he incite violence against this congresswoman? It's like, no sane person looking at this ad would think that he was inciting violence. He's pointing out that she represents a certain political ideology that has become buddy-buddy with, people who have at least some association with 9/11 in a roundabout way. Now, of course, we can't forget the Saudi connections, and of course, one of Trump's first major state visits was going over to play with that glowing orb over there. So let's not be hypocrites about this. Geopolitics makes very strange bedfellows. Sometimes they get STDs from it. Just ask the CIA. But no, this isn't inciting violence. It's fucking hilarious more than anything. And Trump was actually there. Like, he's a native New Yorker, so it's more difficult to blame him for using 9/11. It's like when Bush does, it's like, where was he at the time? He was reading a book upside down to kindergarten kids and pretending to be dumb. And he's like, from Connecticut, but also Texas. Meanwhile, Donald Trump's like, no, I never really leave Manhattan. I'm just sort of always here. Probably, was he watching that day from his own skyscraper? He's like, I wonder if they're going to spare a plane for mine next. Yeah, I can imagine he probably was a little bit concerned at the time. I just find it hilarious. And there's like the hashtag, I stand with Ilhan Omar. Oh my God, it's so terrible that the president, some people are like, they're trying to grandstand because they know this is bullshit, but they're like, I reported this tweet for threats of violence and harassment. What are you smoking, dude? All it is footage of her saying something in her own words. Yes, again, slightly out of context. And then like the 9/11 stuff, which she's referring to in that clip of her. That's basic, and the context is, this is how I take it. I believe the context was that she was talking about like change to U.S. policy by the Bush administration in the wake of 9/11. But the thing is, the way she said it just comes off as crass. The way she said it didn't come off right. This was an example of a significant misspoken moment, like a gaffe, like what you would get from Joe Biden. To not capitalize on that on Trump's part would be asinine. The fact is, here's the fact. The left wants you to believe that the fact that Ilhan Omar happens to be young, female, liberal, and non-Christian means she's beyond reproach, and any criticism of her is automatically evil. The same is true of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. They're trying to set these people up as sort of messianic figures so that it's impossible to actually criticize their views, because it just automatically is synchronized with their character, which is a caricature. It's like the strong, empowered bullshit. No, it's just another politician at this point. There's no strong, empowered anything outside of politics anyway, so I don't know what these people's problem is. Meanwhile, they don't even like Feinstein and Pelosi anymore, which is like, I can kind of understand. But inciting violence, where's the incitement? Do you honestly think 9/11 footage incites violence? No, 9/11 was an act of violence against U.S. citizens, so I'm not sure where you're coming from. What are you trying to say, dude? It's funny. The Democratic Party at this point has lost its fucking mind and doesn't even quite realize it because they'd spent years devolving into ideological echo chambers in which their own sort of self-promoted ideas would just go around in circles into a purity spiral down the toilet, really, to the point where they actually believe that there's something wrong with you if you dislike socialism, or if you don't think that this is incitement, or if you think that you should be able to criticize like a female politician, like, oh my god, it's so misogynistic, including if you're one of their fellow females. You know, their membership in being politicians is more important than what's between their legs, I think. But I know that's an unpopular opinion among leftists, at least at this point. Incitement. Again, not seeing it. Show me where he's inciting violence, folks. Show me one fucking example from this. Oh my god. Oh, people, explosions and stuff. That's not incitement. Dude, that sort of footage is all over on the internet. It doesn't matter. People made all sorts of wonky, off-hook political ads back in the day. Like 10 years ago, one of the big things on YouTube, really, was people taking like musical and news footage and war footage mashups and stuff. You know, you put stirring music to the war footage, make a little patriotic film or something. That was common back then. I did that too. I had one, I can't remember. I think I used Talk Talk's Life's What You Make It, I think, if I remember correctly, and sort of smashed it together with some Pink Floyd stuff and war footage and Bush and stuff like that. And it was basically an anti-war spiel. And that was like when Bush was still the president. That was at the tail end of that in 2007. And it was fun to do those sorts of things. But the fact that you have, like, you know, this part from, you know, the wall there where the dudes are smashing out windows and stuff, that doesn't mean it was incitement, like, oh my god, I'm inciting violence towards the Bush administration or something. No, it's making a political point, dude. And anything Trump does or says at this point is considered incitement by someone. So fucking ignore him, because, you know, they're just fucking, they don't know what they're talking about. They're fucking cretins. That's about all. Peace out.